Do you ever get out of breath when you're running? Well, kind of dumb question. If you run hard, you're gonna get out of breath. Or will you? By changing how many steps you breathe in and how many steps you breathe out, you're gonna be able to change how much oxygen you bring in a given minute. You can actually shift gears as you're heading into the end of a race, or when you see an uphill coming and you don't get that sensation of being out of breath. What's up, Run Elite? It's Guys here. Now today we're gonna be talking about how to breathe while you're running. Don't you just breathe in and then breathe out and call it a day? Well, it's not quite so simple. Advanced runners versus beginner runners breathe much differently. I'm gonna share these principles with you and then we'll take it outside and I'll actually show you in practice what this looks like. So when you're breathing when you're running, you want to exhale as your foot touches the ground. So you're inhaling as whatever's going on, and then when you start that exhale, you want to do it as one of your feet touches the ground. And the reason you do that is because you've got guts inside of here. You've got guts that pull on your diaphragm and it gets kind of jiggly. If you just let go and you jump around, you'll feel your guts kind of slosh around a little, and you might even get a side stitch from your organs pulling on your diaphragm. So we can avoid this. When you breathe out, when you breathe out hard, like that, then you can tense up your stomach. If someone were gonna punch you in the stomach and you breathe in, oh, it's gonna hurt. But if you breathe out, you tense up and exhale. Everything is nice and tight. And what that is gonna do is gonna allow you, as you're running, to keep your core nice and tight so that you're not losing motion by basically flailing around just a little bit. Now, as you're going down the road or the trail or the track, every time you step, everything is gonna kind of jiggle a little bit and you're gonna lose a little bit of energy. But when you keep that core nice and tight, because maybe your muscles are strong, or because maybe you exhale as you touch the ground, it keeps you very stable and you conserve energy moving forward. Your breathing pattern is intricately tied to the steps per minute that you take, because your breathing is gonna breathe in for a certain amount of steps and out for a certain amount of steps. And so that is a cycle that's kind of locked. And because most of you are taking between 170 and 190 steps per minute, the only other factor that we can play with is how many of those steps are you breathing in and how many of those steps are you breathing out. Let's go. So there's a lot of benefits to this. Now there are 3 breathing patterns that I'm gonna share with you. One of them is the 2-2, one of them is the 4-4, one of them is the 1.5, 1.5, or you could call it the 3-3 even. And you want to be aware of these because your body might naturally go into one of these patterns, but when you know what the patterns are and you practice them, you can actually shift gears as you're heading into the end of a race, or as you're heading into your kick at the very end of a race. Or if you're a trail runner like I am, when you see an uphill coming, you can change your breathing pattern leading up to that hill so that you can just cruise right over the hill and right down it, and you don't get that sensation of being out of breath. So let's take this outside and I'll show you in practicality how you can use the 2-2, the 4-4, and the 1.5, 1.5 breathing patterns. Let's go outside. Come on. So the first breathing pattern that you're gonna use on an easy run is 4 in and 4 out. And I'm gonna try to signal to you with my right hand as I exhale. You're gonna wanna exhale as your foot touches the ground. So it'll be in, out, 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 out. And it may look something like this. The second breathing pattern that you can use is a 2-2. It's basically exactly what you just did, but faster. And this is a breathing pattern that's gonna work well for you if you're racing in a 5K or below. And it'll look something like this. Notice how we're breathing just a lot faster. Now, if you do this when you're running easy, you're gonna start to hyperventilate. It's taking up a lot of energy. It's not really gonna feel that good. But when you switch gears at the end of a half marathon, during that last mile, and you're really breathing hard, you can just switch gears by shifting from a 4-4 to a 2-2. And then I'm gonna switch it to what I might use in like a 5K to a 2-2. Ready? Or, like I say, if you're in a 5K or below, you may even just want to start the beginning of the race in this breathing pattern. Let's check out the next breathing pattern. All right, this last breathing pattern is going to be the one that you use when you're really cranking, when you're sprinting full tilt at the end of a race, or if you're running an 800 meter or a 400 meter and you're really anaerobic and you need a lot of oxygen really quick. It uses more energy, but it really delivers that oxygen quick. And this one's more complicated because the other two that I just showed you, you can exhale on the same foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, in 2, 3, 4. It's on the same foot, right? But this one is gonna alternate feet, so it takes a little bit of coordination. You don't wanna do this unless you're on the final push with like 800 meters to go in any race, and this is how you should bring it in towards the finish line when you're really cooking hard. So it looks like this. I'm exaggerating, of course, but essentially you're breathing out on one leg and then the next leg. And I'm gonna switch to a sprint. Now, if you've never done that before, it's gonna feel really weird at first until you get the coordination down. And then once you get it, it's gonna feel amazing and you're gonna feel like you have a lot of oxygen when you're running really fast. Now, I'm really exaggerating the breath just so you can hear it here. I wouldn't really do that in a race, nor should you. But notice how it's very regular. It's in for 2 steps, it's out for 2 steps. It's not in for 1.5 and out for 2.5. You wanna keep a cadence going like that. It's nice and even, and it goes along with your steps. Hey, if you like that video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And the best way to give back is to take the link for this video and send it to just one of your friends. It really helps us grow. We appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you on the next video.